Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys had a great day. Today, we're going to cover Marathon. There's some news about them. It's kind of actually interesting. Then we also have Cleanspark, Digihost, and Terawulf for the production updates for October. So we'll get into all that. The miners actually did really good today on the stocks themselves. The prices were up, even though Bitcoin actually was coming down a little bit after reaching an interim high here in the last, and today it was over 35,000. All right, but we'll get into all that. But as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in the following cleansing companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into our first story here, which is going to be obviously on Marathon. So Marathon Digital Holdings announces energization of its first Bitcoin mining pilot project powered by renewable off-grid energy from a landfill. This is actually pretty interesting because this is one of the thoughts that I had, at least one of the things that were running around my head for a while now, for about 2 years. Some of you may know that I did manage a small, very small Bitcoin mining farm for about 5 years. And during that time frame, we were obviously at the mercy of the electrical company as far as pricing is concerned. The thought process is, this is obviously not an original idea, but I read stories where companies are starting to use flare gas from landfills, which obviously produce methane. They burn that, so instead of just letting it burn off, why not actually use that flare gas to power a generator that would power then like a small container of Bitcoin miners or something like that. All right, so that's kind of been a thought process there, because you could possibly get that pretty cheap. Obviously, the expensive side of things is going to be the power generator that takes in the methane gas, generates it into electricity. But that was obviously a thought idea that I had. Never fully realized it, never really looked into it. But now that I'm seeing Marathon getting into it, it sounds kind of appealing a little bit, but you obviously need a lot of capital to do that. And I don't have the type of capital, so there's no way I'm going to get into it right now. We'll see, maybe in a couple of years, things improve. Maybe then I'll see if maybe this makes sense. Okay, but here's a good story that we do have. So Marathon has entered into an agreement with Nodel Power, a company that develops and operates renewable energy assets, specifically in the biogas space, to launch a 280 kilowatt, Bitcoin mining pilot project in Utah that is exclusively powered by landfill methane gas. I have, in my area where I live, I have at least probably 3 to 4 landfills that I've seen just driving by on the highways or something like that, and other areas, things like that, where they actually just burn off that methane gas. There is one here locally that also generates electricity for the local community, so they are using it as well for that. Okay, but the pilot program or the project is currently fully energized and operational. They did not provide actually how much they have miners installed in there. That would be interesting to note. And then here's just some data that they're providing here. According to the United Nations Environment Program, excuse me, methane is 80 times more harmful than CO2 for 20 years after it's released. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, municipal solid waste emissions, which accounted for approximately 14.3% of the methane emissions in the United States in 2021, represent a lost opportunity to capture and use significant energy resources. I would agree with that. You got that methane coming out anyways, might as well use it. Might as well use it for some good, whether it's to power your local community a little bit or use it even for Bitcoin mining. So I'm actually in favor of this. Marathon's pilot project is part of a broader initiative being conducted by the company to validate its ability to capture methane emitted from landfills, convert it into electricity, and then use electricity to power Bitcoin miners. By doing so, Marathon may be able to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions while utilizing a completely renewable and off-grid energy source to power its Bitcoin miners. Right. Obviously, we don't know what the deal is as far as what they're going to be getting charged for this, but nonetheless, I think this is pretty good here. Let's see, that's it. So I thought this was good information here. I think the Marathon also posted on their Twitter page about this short video. You guys can take a look at it over there as well. We're not going to get into it here. All right, just want to point this out to you guys. I think this is really good and might be a way kind of going forward. We'll have to see, obviously, what the results are of this going forward. All right, next, Digihost here provides their production update for 2023 for October. And it's a short one, and I got to point something out here, and we'll get into it here. You guys can read over this, but the main point here is the monthly production highlights for October 2023, mined approximately 95 BTC. So this is the key takeaway here, mined approximately, right? They're saying approximately what they mined, but they didn't say that it's self-mined. This could be for hosting, including in that, also for power generation that they get, in that equivalent of sorts. They just don't go into a lot of details here. And the reason I say this is because when I ran the numbers on their installed hash rate that we've known for a while here, they didn't provide any updates onto it, that there's no way in heck I could get to 95 BTC with what they have installed based on the network hash rate, the average Bitcoin price for the month of October as well, and we'll get into it here shortly. They talk about their cash here. They also spent about $700,000 for capital expenditures, mining infrastructure support, equipment, and collateral deposits, things like that. And then, obviously, consistent with management's ongoing commitment to avoid equity dilution for its shareholders, the company has continued to monetize a portion of its BTC production to fully fund its energy costs. They don't provide actually what they have as far as the actual Bitcoins on hand. We'll hopefully get that maybe in the Q3 results. Okay. They did provide also, as a result of the company's site acquisition in Q1 2023, Digihost consolidated operating capacity across its 3 sites has increased to approximately 100 megawatts, representing approximately 2 exahash of computing power. They could get to that. Obviously, we don't know if they're at that point yet. I still have them at 1 exahash, something like that. So let's take a look at the numbers of what I do have for them, and we'll get into the other ones as well. So Digihost right now has about 28.6 million shares outstanding. The stock price is $1.34. Market cap is about 38 million as it is right now. They've had a pretty good run here in the last 8 weeks. They're up 25% from 8 weeks ago. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 17, almost 18%. From 1 week ago, they're up 9.65%. From 12 weeks ago, had you bought back then, they're down 21%. And we're seeing that across a lot of the miners here right now. You can see that their BTC production has been increasing. However, if you look at their hash rate, it has not really been increasing. So they got to be adding something into it here, which obviously we don't know what that is. They're possibly adding in hosting or the generation of power and selling that back into the grid. They might be including that as well, because there's no way, any other way that you could do this unless you're, there's no way to do it. There's absolutely no way to do it, especially with Bitcoin network hash rate increasing here month over month. Usually see the BTC production going down for any miner that does not grow their hash rate, at least with the same pace as the network hash rate is growing or above that. Okay, so I just want to point that out. So you can see here that this is what they're reporting. I'll show you guys what I'm actually thinking, what they actually self-mined here down below. Okay, month over month difference here. You can see that BTC hodl. I mean, we have them at 19 ever since April. We just don't know what they're actually hodling here. They don't report it. They did report it here earlier or late last year into this year, but then they kind of stopped when they got down to 13. So I don't know even if they have that anymore, or 19. We'll wait until we get the quarterly results for that. BTC per exahash efficiency. Also, you can see that their efficiency is going up while everybody else is going down. So this tells me that there's added Bitcoin there that shouldn't be for self-mining. Okay, Bitcoin sold here each month. Hash rate, you can see that they were at 913 petahash ever since April through August, and then they jumped up a little bit here in September and October. So with that being said, the efficiency should be coming down because the network hash rate increases. You're getting less and less efficient on your miners as it is. Monthly BTC mined revenue here, that has been increasing as well based on the numbers that they are providing here. And we'll take a look at that down below as well. Hash rate difference month over month, and the BTC sold value, they're basically, I'm guessing, selling everything for the most part. Institutions side of things here, institutions did increase by 1 here to 30 from last month. Shares did increase by about 10,000, and percentage owned went up just slightly to 8.95%. We still don't have any analyst ratings for them, so there's 0 across the board here. Going down here, we have them at 95, which is what they reported, right? That's 2.811 million. But if we look at the actual numbers here in October and November, they had, or November, October and September, they had 85 in September here. If we look at September here, I got them down to 74. So it's about, 11 Bitcoin less, right? And that got us to the approximately 1.95 million in revenue instead of the 12.23 million in revenue, okay? And then when we look at it over here in October, we got them to 71 Bitcoins with what they have installed here at the 1 exahash, almost 1.1 roughly. Based on what they had installed, running for a full month, we got them to 71.6 Bitcoin. That's only 2.1 million instead of the 2.8 million. So that's why I'm saying there's something fishy about the numbers that they're reporting here, as far as they're probably including more things in that, because they're not saying it's self-mined. They're saying they're basically everything that's mined for that. Okay, so that's why the numbers are coming up here, and that's why we're getting the numbers up here. When we look at the revenue side of things, it looks like it's going up, but it actually might be, well, revenue is going up here in October because the Bitcoin price has increased. But when we look at the actual BTC per exahash efficiency, that should be coming down. It's not. And then same thing with BTC mined here. It should be coming down as well, and it's not. So we got, let me see here. You In September, we had him at 74 Bitcoins. In October, we have him at 71, which makes sense here, okay? So I just want to point that out to you guys. So you're aware of that. That's what's happening there. It's a little misleading on their part, I think, to do it that way that they're doing it right now. All right. Now, based on what we have here, looking at the last 3 quarters, which includes the current quarter that we just finished, obviously, which was Q3, and then the current, yeah, so that's the current quarter, and then the quarters before that are Q2 and Q1, or sorry, let me rephrase that. The current quarter that we're in is Q4 quarter, which we're in right now. The last 3 quarters are Q3, Q2, and Q1 numbers. Based on that, with a P of 5, I have them at $1.76 to $2.63. They're at $1.34 right now. I think they're slightly undervalued as it is, based on the numbers, and that's based on the actual numbers that include here. So if you look at the last 3 quarters, that would be the numbers here. You can see how I was off by 8.7%, where the other miners I'm off, or at least much closer to that, less than 1% for the most part. So we're using that number. Then we're using also the latest number here, which does not include, let me see here, December, yep, October. We're using the numbers that I have for them for the self-mining 2.12. So we're using those numbers as well in that. So that should make it a little bit more accurate, I think, going forward, but we'll see. Then if we look forward the next 12 months, so we got 5 months before the halving event. So we're multiplying the revenue for October times the 5 months, and then the 7 months after the halving event at 50%. I have them at $1.54 to $2.30. That's still a little bit undervalued from where they should be, I think, right now. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. And that's it. Other than that, I think they just need to grow like everybody else here before the halving event, especially their own hash rate. They still have a pretty good, I think, balance sheet here. Actually, it's gotten worse here in Q2 of this year, down to assets of 3.4 million with liabilities of 5.3. I'd love to see that be different. So maybe they pay down a little bit debt here in the Q3 numbers. We'll see. We'll find that out in a week or two. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's get into the next one here. The next one is going to be on Terawulf. So Terawulf announces October 2023 production and operations update. This is going to be pretty quick too as well. There's not a lot of details here. They self-mined 314 Bitcoin. After a planned outage during the first week of October, achieved a greater than 95% of targeted self-mining operational hash rate, which is good. Power cost averaged at 10.8K per Bitcoin produced, or approximately 3.4 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, and here's the data. Management commentary here. This was, I thought, pretty good. As we continue to improve operational excellence across the fleet, our Lake Mariner facility is pursuing increased participation in demand response programs to further establish ourselves as an asset to the grid. We have recently undergone a slight reorganization of our site resources aimed at maximizing miner inventory and slot utilization. And then current construction activities at Lake Mariner's Building 3 remain on schedule for completion by year end, with the first pod of hydro racks already installed earlier this week. Added Farrell. So I think this is kind of good news there. We'll see where they get to from there. Let's see here. This is on the planned outage. You guys can read that. And let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and we'll go over those. So Terawulf is going to be way over here. Let's see here. There they are. Terawulf. Okay. So Terawulf has 221 million shares outstanding right now. Stock price is at $1.13. Market cap at 249 million. They've actually had a pretty rough run here in the last 12 weeks. They're down 56% from 12 weeks ago, down 37% from 8 weeks ago. They're down 5% from 4 weeks ago, and they were actually up last week, 1.82%. The reason that they're down is, I think, is because of the debt. So we'll take a look at that down below here shortly. But you can also see that their production here has been coming down here. They're 5 exahash right now. They're supposed to get to about 7.98 exahash, I guess you could say. So they still have a little bit of growth left in them, and they definitely do need that going forward into the halving event. But their best month was in June, 347 Bitcoin, and then it's been kind of coming down here ever since then, as their hash rate has really kind of peaked there a little bit. Okay, month-over-month difference here, Bitcoin exahash efficiency. You can see here how that's been coming down, right? And that's kind of what I would expect to see with Digihost as well, but we're not seeing. That's why I'm saying there's something fishy with Digihost. But here it's at 62.8, which is still pretty good here. BTC sold, they're selling everything that they do mine. Hash rate, like I said, has kind of flattened out a little bit for the time being. They were at 4.9 from June through August, and they jumped up a little bit here to 5 exahash for September and October. Bitcoin mine revenue here did peak in July at 9.93 million, and then it's come down here through September, and then now we're going back up into October as Bitcoin price is going up in value. All right, hash rate difference month over month. BTC sold value what they sold, basically whatever they mined. And then let's take a look at the numbers down here. Institutions did increase here quite nicely to 118 from 110, so that's good there. Shares also increased a little bit as well, almost a little bit over a million shares to 32.9 million. That gave them 14.89% owned by institutions. We still have the 1 strong buy rating, 3 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sell, and the high price target is 425, which is the same. The average is the same at 381, and the low is at $3 as well. So that's good there. Now looking at the numbers that we have here for them, having mined 314 Bitcoin, we're looking at 9.291 million in revenue. They did state that they were down for a couple of days here, and not all of their hash rate, but part of their hash rate was down. So that basically got us down to about 29.74 days on average for the whole fleet here running, which is still really good. And that got us to the 9.291 million in revenue there. So that's good there. Okay, so everything here was pretty much running for the most part, except for a couple of days, which they had 1.4 exahash offline or something like that. Let's see, going up here, we can see, their debt. I forgot to talk about the debt. So at the end of Q2, we're waiting on Q3 results. This is going to be important for us to see how that improves, or if it doesn't improve. So total current assets at the end of Q2 was 14.36 million. Their total current liabilities at the end of Q2 was 81.68 million. That actually increased from Q1. That is not a trend that we want to see. We want to see that actually coming down here. So I'm really waiting for Q3 results to see if they actually paid that down or if that's actually increasing. If that's increasing, that's going to be a concern going into the halving event for them. Definitely want to see that all the way around. Assets growing, debt going down. All right. So looking at the current quarter that we're in, Q4, and the last 3 quarters, which is Q3, Q2, and Q1, with a P of 20, I have them at $4.34 to $6.51. They're currently at $1.13. I think they are way undervalued, but the reason that they are undervalued is because the total current liabilities. All right, that's a threat. That's a concern. Then if we look forward for the next 12 months, the 5 months before the halving and the 7 months after the halving, I'm at $3.57 to $5.36. Right. The Bitcoin obviously goes up every month here until the halving event, and after the halving event, this is obviously going to change. But this is kind of a quick snapshot for that. All right. So overall, it was an okay month for them, I guess you could say. They did do some good things. They are working on getting the other things installed and energized. So that's good there. And the only thing is we really need to see their Q3 results to see how they're doing on the debt and the total current assets. Other than that, I think it's pretty good. All right, so that's it for that one. And then finally, we'll take a look at Cleanspark here. So Cleanspark releases October 2023 Bitcoin mining update. Here's what we have from them. Here's a quote from Zach Bradford. Our recent achievement of 10 exahash with nearly 89,000 operational machines demonstrates our ability to maximize efficiency to produce more hash rate using the same amount of energy. Energy and capital efficiency are paramount to our operations, and they have done a fantastic job here in the last 2 years, growing basically from 0 to 10 exahash, which is quite an achievement here from them. And let's see here. October mining production update. So 633 Bitcoin mined. It is a little bit less than what we saw in September, but not much. Total Bitcoin holdings also increased to 2,311. They did sell 562 Bitcoin, and I think the reason they sold those was to pay for that order that they did with the Antminer S21s. They had to pay down, they had to put a deposit down of 20% on that order. And I think this was right around that time frame when this happened. So that's why we're seeing that, okay? Which is good because, one, they're not diluting shares, which is good, and they are increasing their hash rate to 20 exahash. So that's good there. Current hash rate, like I said, was 10 exahash, so that's fine there. Let me see here. Operational updates, okay. Also, some of you have had questions on Twitter and places like that, so I think this is a response to that. Sandersville, no serious delays have been reported, and site construction remains on track for an expected year-end completion. Notable update includes steel and roof structures are complete for buildings 1, 2, and 3. Racks have also been installed for these buildings. Most of the conduit has been installed site-wide, and the majority of concrete has been poured for remaining buildings. I'm pleased to report that the construction is on schedule for our Sandersville expansion, said Scott Garrison, Senior Vice President of Growth. Over the coming weeks, the remaining structures are expected to rapidly pass through various stages of construction as multiple trades work together to build what we believe will be the largest digital asset data center in Georgia. So that's good. They didn't provide any update on the energization with the power connect from the substation, I think. The lines, when those are going to get connected, which it sounds like they're going to be connected sometime in the first part of the year. We don't know exactly when. Could be within the first quarter, Could be within the first 2 quarters. We just don't know. They said, I think within the first half of the year, they're supposed to get that connected. So we'll see how soon they can get that connected. All right. So that's it for that. Let's take a look at the numbers I do have for them. And we'll then take a look at Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners here today, what happened with those guys. It was a fun day considering that Bitcoin went up and then came down and miners actually continued to go up, which might be the result of Fed Powell yesterday not raising interest rates. All right, so Cleanspark here. They have 152 million shares outstanding as of Q2, as of August 9th, I believe this was the case. And we'll see what they have at the end of Q3 here, which they're going to be reported, I believe, next week. But their stock price is at $4.64 as of today. Market cap is at 708 million right now. They've done also, it's kind of half and half here. So they're down 36% from 12 weeks ago, 5.7% down from 8 weeks ago. They're up 10.7% from 4 weeks ago. Last week, they were up 5.87%. It's kind of mixed here as far as their update here on, well, performance here. Current hash rate is a 10 exahash. Future hash rate is going to be about 20 exahash. Bitcoin mined here each month here. Their best month was in January of this year, followed by probably August, which was 659 Bitcoin. And then September, they were down a little bit here to 643, and they're down to 633 in October. So as the network hash rate increases, the hash rate has been kind of, it's been flat here for the last couple months here. It has been increasing, but it's not in keeping pace with the Bitcoin network hash rate increases percentage-wise. All right, so that's where we are there. Month-over-month Bitcoin difference for BTC HODL has increased a little bit here in October to 2,311 from the 2,240 that we had in September. I mean, they still had a nice increase in their HODL here ever since basically more, I would say, February of this year, where they bottomed out at 100 Bitcoin in their HODL, and they've definitely grown that quite a bit here. BTC per exahash efficiency still coming down, which is normal to see, 63.3. Bitcoin sold here. You can see that they sold very little here in the last 3 months, in July, August, and September. Now in October, they sold quite a bit, and that's, like I said, I think that's to pay for those Antminer S21s that are going to be coming in next year. Hash rate, you can see hash rate has also increased quite nicely in the last 3 months, 4 months, you could say. It's been, by about 300, 400 petahash increases each month, which is still good. Monthly revenue here. It looks like October so far is their best month out of the year. And going back to last year as well, they were at 10.45 million in October of last year. They're at 18.73 million here in the latest October here. Hash rate growth month over month. Huge increase here in July. They installed a lot. Bitcoin sold value, how much they've been selling here. And let's take a look at the numbers down here. So institutions didn't continue to increase here. We've seen a continuation of increases from them. Well, we got 6 months worth of data here. But it has been increasing to 206 institutions. Shares owned by institutions is at 55.7 million. That's a nice increase there as well, about a million or so. And now we actually have one increase on the buy side of things. So we have 4 buy ratings, 1 strong buy rating, and a 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sell. Price target pretty much stayed the same for the high. Fortunately, the average actually came down to 10.10, and the low went down to 5.5. That's kind of what might happen when you have more analysts rating your company and giving price targets. So that's normal to see, expected. Going down here, let's take a look at them. They were operational here for how many days, it looks like, in October. I'm at 31 days here for the most part, except for the miners that got them to 10 exahash. Those were at 24.38 days, right? So that's understandable because they're not going to be running for the full month as it is. There's always a delay in that, but that's kind of what we got them to. And then I got us to the 18.7 million roughly in revenue estimated for the month. So that's all good there. And looking at the numbers that we do have here for them, looking at the last quarter that we just finished, Q3, and then, or looking at the current quarter that we're in, Q4, and then looking back at the other 3 quarters, Q3, Q2, and Q1. For our price targets here with a P of 20, we're looking at $13.31 to $19.97. They're at $4.64. I think they're still way undervalued from where they should be. And then if we look forward, like we do for the other ones, 12 months ahead, 5 months before the halving event, 7 months after the halving event, we got them at $10.43 to $15.65. So even if investors are pricing them to go down in value because of the decrease in revenue, based on today's numbers, I would think fairly price would be around $10.43. But we know, or at least we believe, that Bitcoin will go up in value going into the halving event. After the halving event, I think they should be much higher than where they are right now. All right, so let me know what you guys think of them. Obviously, this is kind of a lull before we get a nice spike in hash rate for them as well. especially going into next year. So we're going to have probably this month, November and December, being flat as far as hash rate, unless they can pull a rabbit out of the hat somehow with that one, but we'll see if that happens or not. Okay, so that's it for that one. Like I said, let me know what you guys think on this one, Terawulf, Digihost, all of those combined. Let me know what you guys think, and then we'll wait to see what they actually report on Q3 results to see how did their balance sheet improve, or if it's gotten worse. I would imagine it's gotten better, but we'll see. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here really quick. Here's the Bitcoin network hash rate. This is on the 7-day average. Right now, we are at 464 exahash. One of the things that I'm seeing here right now, and if we look at it here while we're talking about it, might as well take a look at it, excuse me. Here's the percentage of the miners here in October as far as the percentage of the network hash rate that they occupy, the portion that they have. It has been coming down here. They reached a high in August of 26.49%. They were down to 25.75% in September. Now they're down to 23.68%. So it looks like other miners around the world, whether they're public or private, they have been increasing their hash rate more than the public miners that I track here at least. Okay, so that's a little concerning here. We want to obviously have the miners here keeping track or getting better, doing better than the rest of the network is. Okay, so I just want to point that out to you guys. So that's Bitcoin network hash rate. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin price right now. Bitcoin is right around 34,567. It's been kind of bouncing around here for a while here. This is on the 1 hour chart. If we look at the 4 hour chart, we can see that the RSI has been coming down, but price has been going up, which is good to see there. We saw the same thing on the 1 hour chart. If we look at the daily chart here, we can see that the RSI has, come down, and Bitcoin price is still trending upwards here, which is good to see. Obviously, we reached a high today of 35,997, almost 36,000. So we'll see if we can maybe try to battle that again going forward in the next day or two. Tomorrow, I think tomorrow we have options expiry. I'm not sure. I'll double check that. But that might be a good way to end the week on another up note. If we look at the weekly here, we are still up on the week just slightly. We are, let me see, we are right there. We are up well, the weekly doesn't end until Sunday for it. So we'll see. We'll see where we end up at. But right now we're just up 0.19% on the week so far. If we look at the chart here. On it, we're just barely, last week was a really good week. We're up 15% on it. This week is a little bit more flat. So we'll see how that one ends up going. All right, as far as the miners here, miners had a fantastic day, even though Bitcoin came down in price during the day. Big ones that were up today, Digital was up huge, 10%. Bitfarms was up 7.27%. Cypher was up 13%. Cleanspark up 12%. DMG was up 7%. Greenage was up 12%. 6% for Hive. Hut 8 was up 8%, almost 8.5 something. Iris Energy was up 14%. They had a really good day. Marathon was up 10.5. Riot was up 10.6. So a good double-digit day for a lot of the miners that we cover here, which was surprising. I think it's mainly because the markets were also up today quite nicely. So they lifted those guys up as well because of it. And that could be based on Papa Powell not raising interest rates. All right. So that's it. Spreadsheets are going to be available to my Patreon members as always. I appreciate everyone there, and I'm thankful for their continued support and the communication that we have on the Discord channel, which is private because of the Patreon group there. So that's always fun to talk about what's going on with miners, what people are doing. And that's still only $5 a month. So if you want to have access to that and the spreadsheets that I do, you're more than welcome to join us. I'd love to have you there. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. But than that, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys in the next one.